All right, the Texans at Miami. Do you buy into Miami continuing to improve, or is this like a 1 week wonder?
It's a very, very difficult proposition because teams can do these kinds of things where you're on a bye week. There was a drastic change, so the team rallies, and then that momentum kind of wears off. The emotion is spent completely in that game. And
I really wanted to take Brian Hoyer as my stream of the week this week again, because just like McCown, I think Brian Hoyer might be for real with Hopkins. He's just throwing to a fantastic receiver. If you throw 22 times at Hopkins, you're gonna have a good game. There's just no way
That's
you
the
don't.
old Stafford effect.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly. And so I wanted to take him, and the whole reason I didn't was because of the giant question mark about Miami. And here's where I think they are a little bit more for real as far as a change is the fact that they went with that momentum on the road and won, and now they're coming home. So
yeah, but Tennessee's just not good.
Well, sure, but I'm saying the crowd and the momentum.
Who's not good?
Who they played last week? Tennessee.
Oh, yeah.
It took me a second as well. But I'm just saying they're coming home. They're playing. The crowd has to be completely, riled up. So I'm leaning towards it's going to stick. And I hope it is.
I would lean that way as well, because the personnel is there. And let me say, this is my biggest takeaway from the coaching personnel change. Jordan Cameron finally got in the end zone, and you know who got like 4 or 5 targets?
Who?
Landry.
I did notice that.
Landry did not get his double-digit targets.
If he did not run...
Yeah, but that game was... There's a lot of reasons. I'm not going to read into that through one game at all.
No, that's true. I don't know. How much was Landry out there in the fourth?
Yeah,
obviously, they pulled Lamar Miller. Lamar Miller didn't even play in the fourth.
I think the offense is going to change, and a change in a positive effect for Jordan Cameron. I think he still only had 3 catches, but he scored. But who is coaching the Miami Dolphins? What position did that guy play?
Tight end.
Yeah.
He only had 3 catches, though.
Yes, I said he only had 3 catches, but he finally got in the end zone. And I think having a tight end coach or a former tight end player come in as your head coach and say, hey, we have a really great tight end that we paid to come into this offense. Maybe we should get him involved.
Especially for a team that's struggled in the red zone. Hasn't been able to,
So that's just – I think Jordan Cameron, if he's on your waiver wire, I think he's a solid pickup right now.
Yeah, he at least has this skill set. And by the way, Landry had the same amount of snaps as previous weeks.
Oh.
So is there
his
any
targets plummeted?
Okay.
Yeah,
I'm just saying
that
because
to me
that was the point, right?
Yeah.
Didn't we already say that?
I'm just re-emphasizing the point that they went to the run game where Miami had been using Jarvis Landry as the run game.
Sure.
Instead, they actually ran the ball.
Yeah, I still take a very wait-and-see approach. One game, but it's a good thing to be looking for. Arian Foster, you're obviously starting him. You're starting Lamar Miller.
Mm-hmm.
That was a
that was me drinking. Sorry.
Yeah. So, yes.
Lamar Miller was. Oh no, he not was. He is. He is involved in the starts of the week.
Okay. Let's get through these next 2 games before we get to those starts of the week. The Saints facing the Colts. This one's in Indianapolis, and I'd love to say this is one of those games where the Colts gets it together. The Colts get it together. Yeah, that was tough. But I don't think it is. Really. I think it's going to be an okay game because New Orleans is coming off a game where they did play very well defensively and they put pressure on the quarterback. Luck has not been very good this year. And there have been 3 or 4 games, whether it was the Tennessee game or whatever, where, this is the week that this offense is going to figure it out. And there's something else wrong. And it's not just that one punt call that is going wrong.
Which I saw a lengthy interview with the Colts punter who was running through the play and kind of explaining why everything went terrible. Of the guy, the person who replaced the center had to do so because the original player got hurt in the game, and there was an audible added into the play during practice, and the guy who played center did not hear that. And it was just all this giant list of excuses.
Then call a timeout, Chuck.
This giant list of excuses. And why did you call that play then?
Yeah, it sounds like a coaching problem.
Yep, it sure does. I don't blame those players for being out there trying to execute
No,
it.
I don't either.
When the coach calls the play. So.
I do think that Indianapolis gets together this week offensively against the Saints.
That's fine. I mean, there's a lot of reasons to believe that. The Saints haven't been good, but they did shut down Matt Ryan last week and played very well on Thursday night. They had 10 days to prepare for this game, and so I'm more of the middle of the road, but I see all the reasons why the Saints D has not been that good.
And on the road for the Saints D, right? This is in Indianapolis, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that's the biggest change that I see from their defense standpoint.
Yeah, I
that's
love
fine.
Luck.
That's
Finally, 300.
Well, you're going to start Luck, so let's talk about a guy that some guys that you may or may not start. Moncrief, are you starting him?
Yeah.
Hilton?
Yep.
What about Snead and Cooks?
Yes, I will start both of them.
What about Andre Johnson?
Nope.
That's a trick question. Of course not.
I was going to say I'll start Snead over Cooks this week.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Andre Johnson or Chris Hogan?
Andre. I don't want either. I'm going to go Andre Johnson.
Deeper league.
Higher scoring game. I
Yeah, I'll
think.
go Johnson.
Are you starting Ben Watson? Are you chasing the points?
If you have a tight end need, I don't mind.
Is he the best tight end in this game
Yeah, probably.
No,
to start?
I don't think so. I think that this is because of the pass D that we've seen the Saints give up a lot of points to the tight end position. I think Kobe Fleener is a decent play.
Sorry, go ahead.
Just because of the matchup, I would rather have him in this.
Ben Watson or Zach Ertz?
Ooh. I'll try it out with Watson.
Yeah,
Ben Watson or Jacob Tammy?
Watson.
That's interesting that you guys said that more vehemently when Tammy has been much better than Ertz.
Yeah, Tammy. I got that bias, man. Tammy really let me down last week. It was a prime matchup for him.
No, you're right. I think Tammy might be a perfect example of what you get when you chase those points on a guy that's a middling tight end, because he had 8 for 94 against Washington, then he's 3 for 32 last week, and he hasn't scored all year. So, all right, Steelers face off against the Chiefs. In this game, Big Ben could be back.
Yes.
If he's not back, it's in Arrowhead, right?
Yes.
If he's not back, I think the Chiefs win the game. So
I can see that.
And I think their defense holds up pretty darn well. They played very good last week. We gave you the numbers for Adrian Peterson last week against Kansas City. I'm not wrong on that, right? That was the matchup last week, 16-10.
I'm leaving you on an island on this one, I mean.
Really? Minnesota beat Kansas City last week, 16-10, I believe.
Yeah.
It just spaced out for a second. So I've had the question about Kelce. Now, there are two trains of thought everybody takes logically with injury to a guy like Maclin, losing Jamaal Charles, not having the involvement in the offense. I've taken the approach that it does not help Travis Kelce to lose Maclin or Charles, because the offense is, he's struggling for end zone targets, touchdowns anyways. I don't think it's going to help, when teams can bracket Kelce because they've got Albert Wilson on the outside. And do you guys take that approach, or do you take the approach that, okay, the targets are going to be up a little bit because he's alone?
Yeah, I take the approach that his ceiling is lower and his floor is higher. I expect him to get more targets, get more passes in the middle of the field, have way less red zone opportunities because they're not moving the ball all the way down the field. So I see him essentially as a higher floor tight end, which I kind of like from my tight end. I would, I want to get a 9 or 10 out of my tight end assuredly, than chase after the touchdown and hope I get a 15 but end up with a 3 or a 4. So
yeah, I think Maclin being out would be bad for Travis Kelce. I think.
And we are monitoring that.
Yeah,
that is we don't know yet.
On, but I think the defense can bracket Travis Kelce even more. And Andy Reid doesn't like to get the ball to one of his best players in the offense, apparently, or Alex Smith. I don't know what's going on in Kansas City.
If it's Landry Jones, do you start Martavis Bryant or Antonio Brown? Because of the defense they're facing.
I think this week, personally, no matter who the quarterback is, I start both of those guys.
Martavis Bryant. Okay, let's pretend Big Ben is back. Martavis Bryant or Calvin Johnson?
Oh, Johnson. Pretending he's back?
It's still
Big
Calvin.
Ben is back.
Yeah, it's still Calvin.
Martavis Bryant or Allen Robinson? Martavis Bryant or Mike Evans?
I might go
Martavis.
Bryant.
If Big Ben's back against Kansas City.
Amari Cooper.
Martavis.
Okay.
Cooper.
You're obviously starting Le'Veon Bell.
Yes.
Chandler
Charizard?
I'm trying to pick which one I want to go with.
Charbroiled?
Charkandrick West.
The news about Charkandrick is they still are talking him up. Like, he's going to be their main running back. So I'll give him another chance. The Steelers' defense has actually been extremely solid against the run. And the Steelers are one of my top streaming defensive picks of the week. I like them, especially
that's fine.
If Maclin is out, I like the Steelers' defense a lot. I think that Landry Jones is an upgrade for Antonio Brown and Martavis Bryant over Michael Vick. Michael Vick cannot read a defense. If his first read is not there, then he has to run. That's kind of the quarterback that he has devolved into, where Landry Jones is, at least he's a prototypical pocket guy. So I think that improves the baseline for especially Brown and Martavis. Martavis just he does whatever he does, where he can score at any moment.